Hi there, welcome back to On the Flip Side. My name is Adam Shawalker, your host, and today we're going to be going over the new Khemmis record called Deceiver. So the last time I reviewed a Khemmis album, it was their sophomore record, Hunted, which I still absolutely love. I listen to that album at least semi-regularly, and I'll probably be listening to it for a lot longer. So when this new album was announced, I was pretty excited, as their last EP, Doomed Heavy Metal, didn't really scratch the itch that I had, kind of hoped for fresh material from the band. And while it was good, it just didn't quite cut it for me. So I've had Deceiver in the mix over the past couple weeks that I've been absent, trying to kind of digest the whole album so that I could get my thoughts out on it as best as possible, and I think overall it's been at least solid. The song Vernal Gate opens up the album with a great acoustic guitar intro with a lead into a really high tempo segment. The guitars are dense and the bass is massive. The vocal work is as good, if not better, than anything they've put out before, with a bit more of a focus on harsher vocal styles and more varied delivery. The song does a pretty decent job of holding my attention, though the mix is a little bit dense to the point that it's kind of hard to know what to listen to. The points between lyrical segments feel very much like a musical blur. I think the problem for me is that Khemmis is not at their strongest when they're doing these heavy, fast songs with honestly kind of shallow guitar solos. Really, the last 2 or so minutes of this song is exactly where the band really shines. They nail these massive builds and swells and really benefit from this sort of black and doom metal and thrash metal elements that they blend in. But the first half of the song basically consists of traditional heavy metal with some decent but forgettable guitar parts that get lost in the mix. Even still though, despite the drawbacks, it's a pretty solid track, and the end of the song, in my mind, makes up for quite a lot of the shortcomings of the first intro section of this song. The next track is House of Khemmis. This song focuses in a bit more to that deeper, heavier sound that they've started toying with. When Khemmis is doing doom, they are at their best, and that is absolutely no exception here. House of Khemmis is a killer track with some of the best vocal work on the record. The guitar interludes work a bit better on this song too, as they're very well thought out with how they've been placed. Nothing ends up being too much, which is really relieving after the last track. Like the last track though, these really excellent harsh vocals pop up at the end of this song, and they are pretty much the highlight of the song for me. The clean vocals soar in the mix and are amazing, but these low gutturals are some of the best that I've heard. The third track is Living Pyre. This song has some really great work on the production side of things, especially for the guitar tone, which is really just stacked with fuzz and tight distortion. Once again, they're leaning hard into that doom metal sound with what I'd say is one of the best tracks on the entire album. The track has this great middle portion where there's this cool call and response between the clean on harsh vocals that's done incredibly well. I do think that the track could use probably like an extra minute or 2 on the back end of the song, but wanting more isn't the worst problem to have when it comes to a song. Up next is Shroud of Leth. This is the longest song on the record, around 8.5 minutes, so they have definitely packed quite a bit into this one track. There's a decent amount of variety, which is very warmly welcomed. The relatively calm intro for the song is strong and emotive, swinging from one end of the spectrum of gentle and brief to strong and full delivery for an excellent vocal part. This song also does a really great balancing act genre-wise, with some of the best guitar solo work on the album. The sound of the track carefully toes the lines between heavy metal, doom, and thrash. I do also think the chorus is quite good, but I think it is a little bit repetitive. Not enough to be obnoxious, but it is still a bit glaring the more times you listen to the track. At about the 5-minute mark though, we get these really awesome low gutturals again that really have been the highlight for me for this album. Just shy of the 7-minute mark, there's also some of my favorite vocals on the album. It's this kind of clean section that's not really sung like most of the others, like he's not really belting it out. It's really kind of a stripped back moment that I think is a lot more of a subtle moment of brilliance that I really love. Up next is Obsidian Crown, a kind of peak for the record in my opinion, as this song feels like the apex of tension for the album. The song is entirely huge, and as far as the other tracks on this album go, Obsidian Crown stands out as one of the most straightforward tracks and one of the strongest as well. At no point does any moment of this song feel wasted. Also, this song has some of the strongest lyric writing on the entire record, with the final lines being some of my favorites. The lines as follows: I dreamt of silence if every muscle atrophies, freedom from the rotting heart within, what will remain inside of me? This world was made for suffering, once I dreamt, but now I'm lost, a curse fit for a king, in a haze my shelter. Just really top-notch lyricism. The final track is the Astral Road. This song is a bit of everything the record has kind of shown us up to this point, kind of like a musical highlight reel. It's a great track to close out the album, and I think that Obsidian Crown would have been a little bit more ideal as a finisher. I still think this was a completely sensible choice. I do think this song does fall a little bit shy on a couple of fronts. Once again, while the writing is very good here, I don't think they're playing to their strengths on this track. It's almost a hard rock track during many of the verses, and while it's pretty high bar, it's still just kind of a little bit off-putting. I think the only other issue I have with this song is the way the outro feels almost tacked onto this track. Past about 6.5 minutes or so, it feels very weirdly disjointed. I still like what I hear, but things get a little bit choppy, and it makes me wonder if this maybe was like 2 separate songs at one point or something. It's just hard to say. So overall, my opinion of this record is still pretty favorable, and I do think that they've stepped in the right direction to continue kind of developing their sound a bit. I think that what we've gotten is a lot more of the same with some kind of minor but, you know, nice tweaks. I think Khemmis are at a really great point right now where if they were to really commit for their next release and really try some intensely different things, that we might get an absolutely phenomenal record. But what this feels like right now is a bit of a safe play to reach a wider audience while retaining the old audience. And while that's certainly not a bad thing, it does end up feeling a little bit limiting, and for me it feels like kind of a dick tease. I think Deceiver is a pretty damn good album. I think for me it's going to be a solid 7. Thank you all so much for watching. I know this video is super late, and I appreciate the patience and continued support. My life has been very hectic lately between work and the holidays, and I am absolutely still going to be uploading when I can, but until probably, I want to say early next year when things cool down, expect a little bit of a delay in uploads. I think I'm probably going to be covering the new Cynic album next, and if there's still interest in it, I'll see if I can't find a way to do a proper demo with that Monson Nomad that I unboxed. Thank you all so much again for watching, and I will see you all on the flip side.